This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa! You're not Mickey Mouse, you're a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Welcome to Rat Castle, a progressive chat about Disney magic without the pixie dust. I am Nathan, the old year, big long beard Hartman, and we're going to ring in the new year because you're hearing us in 2023. We got some fresh new year babies with us tonight. Let's see. Let's go down the line and check our babies. Sarah, welcome, Sarah.
Hello.
Happy New Year to you. And Janine, hello.
Hello. Happy New Year.
Oh, so good to have you, Janine. And we have Dave.
Yo, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year to you. And then Victoria, who wasn't going to make it. She had the old influenza, the old pneumonia, the old, coming for you in the winters, and the little cough right at the third act of Little Woman. I mean, she was on the edge, but she's with us tonight. Victoria, how are you? Are you gonna make it?
I mean, they drugged me up and I slept for like 13 hours, so I think I'm good to go.
Girl's high.
Atta girl.
I don't know what happened. I was very high.
Yeah. But she is with us tonight, of course, with her cough button at the ready. She's already coughing in the mute. She is, yeah. But she is going to lead us off tonight. We have some news. We are going to go back in the Wayback Machine a little bit and do some news from the last couple weeks. We're going to basically do all of December because, if you know, our last episode was very Christmas based and we only did a little bit of news. So we thought we'd catch up. And guess what, gang? There is not a lot of news out there because everyone's on vacation. So we are going to hit what we can find here and talk a little bit about some stuff, maybe some New Year's resolutions that Disney could implement. So we're going to get all that. But Victoria, while you aren't coughing, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on in Walt Disney World?
Well, certainly. So first things first, we're going to start off with the best Christmas gift I could have possibly received, and that is the Walt Disney World Railroad coming back to Magic Kingdom.
Yay!
So, yay! It opened on December 23rd, so like sometime last week before Christmas. It was open for media and all that good stuff. It's been closed since December of 2017, 2018.
It's been 4 years. Yeah.
4 years. 85,000 years.
Was there a reason that they closed it?
It was because of the construction of Tron. They had to rework.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had to
rework.
had to reroute it.
Tracks.
And once they realized they were doing that, they're like, we're gonna refurb every engine. They replaced a bunch of tracks, so it was a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, it was worth it. I kind of, I don't know. There's a little bit of me that's like, they probably could have waited an extra, like, a year. Like 4 years is a long time. Like, do you really, like, can you work on Tron without, I know there was a lot of construction and I'm glad they did the refurb and everything, but man, 4 years.
I think access was the big thing, like construction access to the site. If you got a train going every 2 or 3 minutes, it's I can see them
also stop
looking at the calendar.
Yeah,
because of the pandemic too.
That's true.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's a valid point. So that's a whole year lost. It is strange though that someone who is a freshman this year will be graduating from college.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't even know there was a railroad in Disney
What is
World.
with you? What is wrong with
I
you?
really didn't even. Well, because we have the Disneyland one. That's the only one. Like the Disneyland
That's the
Railroad.
only one. This is the kind of West Coast
The Disneyland one is
elitism.
much better.
I'm
The
sorry.
Disneyland
We
one
have
is
the
better.
dinosaur diorama.
Yeah. You've got Claude Coates backdrops.
Sarah,
we get
that
it.
man
We get it.
was a slut for a good train. He didn't think he was gonna put it in his other
I
park.
just didn't think that you guys had one. Like the multiple times that I had been, I did not see a train, so I didn't think that there was one.
We had more than one. We had at one point we had one in Magic Kingdom and we had one in Fort Wilderness.
Right.
We have a tiny little train at Disney Springs currently. It's
Okay.
Animal Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom's got a train. We got tons of
Where?
trains. Where in Animal Kingdom?
That's
Where's
not
the
a
It takes
train.
you. It takes you to the little petting zoo.
Wait,
Oh,
wait.
right, Rafiki's.
Rafiki's Planet Watch. Yeah, Rafiki's
Yeah.
Planet Watch. It's like this. The
That's like my
veterinary
favorite part
facility.
of Animal Kingdom. So
Yeah, me
It's a
too. I love
petting
it.
zoo.
because
It
you
is a
sit
glorified
sideways, for
petting
some
zoo.
reason it doesn't register in my brain as a train.
Oh,
Uh,
because you said so. Well,
well, the Disneyland ours is kind of like sideways. There's something that's sideways.
It is kind of.
There's two different kinds.
Weird.
There's one where you're facing and but that Claude Coats stuff is so cool just because it's from the World's Fair, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, we just got our train back, and you West Coast bitches coming in here and being like, "That's cool and all, but ours is still better." Like, can I have a train for like 2 seconds, people? I'm
Can I
just
be
saying.
completely
know what made me
honest? I literally bought my ticket to Magic Kingdom for next Friday solely to ride the train. I'm not even
Oh,
joking.
I love that.
You know what made me
I
most
too am a
excited?
slut for a train.
Oh, I feel you. My favorite thing though, I watched the video. They posted a ride through, I guess, and a video of it going under Tron, and they put in this whole soundtrack where the grid recognizes on incoming intruders and scans you, and it's the Daft Punk music and stuff, and then it lets you by. And my inner
cool.
Tron nerd was like, because they used to do that on the People Mover here. There was a whole section that they used footage from Tron in these wraparound projection screens, and it was the same thing. It was like the little People Mover train would come in and it would say, you know, intruder alert, blah blah blah. You can see it on YouTube. It's nostalgic crap. Actually, it doesn't look great at all. But you know, my inner 10-year-old, my inner 14-year-old was like, oh yes.
There you go. We have a train, and we're very excited about it, and I'm very excited to ride it. And I will, I'm sure, drag my wife on it, and she'll be like, "Really? We got to do the whole train?" I'm gonna be like, "Yes." She's like, "It's not really meant to ride. You're supposed to get off." And nope, I'm gonna ride the whole thing.
It's what
It's just
Walt would
me.
have wanted.
Yeah, it's what Walt would have wanted. Our favorite train slut. We're doing it for him. Victoria, let's take not a train, but a monorail over to Epcot. Tell us, this is, I would say, maybe my second best news of the night.
Well, I didn't hate it, but anyway. So, with the unfortunate passing of the 50th anniversary celebration, which I forgot was still even happening, to be honest. That's going to be ending on March 31st of 2023, so in about 3 months. Harmonious will be leaving along with it. So I believe they mentioned during D23 that it was going to be replaced with like a nighttime spectacular for like the 100th anniversary of the company. I believe there's rumors that they're gonna continue to use the taco barges that everybody hates and such, but other than that, yeah, Harmonious is leaving around the same time as the 50th anniversary celebration.
So I know Janine has seen Harmonious, and I have, and Victoria, you have. Sarah and Dave, I don't think either of you have. Dave, were you even here when Harmonious was?
And when we went to see Guardians, wasn't it running then?
It should have been.
And then frankly, I avoided it because I wanted to ride other things while the show was filled with people.
Yeah, smart.
Mainly just because I had heard not good things, and I watched it online. I'm like, I get it. I don't think I need to see this one live. I don't, you know, I actually found some of it pretty great in terms of pacing and music choices and things, but it's just such a weird staging for me. Yeah. And that's not just that show. Like staging anything in the round in that scale is really hard, and they've always had to do some sort of compromise. But this one was a weird one for me.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you guys think, because Harmonious didn't come out until when did it come out? 2020?
Harmonious came out right after. I mean, it was Reflections. Reflections went into Forever, Epcot Forever, and then Forever was Harmonious.
I want to say it's only been a year.
Okay, October 1st, 2021. Okay, yes. Okay, so this is my half-baked thought. Do you guys think that, because my issue with Harmonious is it's so light on fireworks, that perhaps they toned down so heavily on fireworks just due to supply chain issues and like not being sure that they would?
That clocks. That actually, I bet you that's a lot of it. I bet that clocks really, really well, actually.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad theory.
Yeah.
Because they were down to, you kind of have to have it at Magic Kingdom fireworks.
Yeah.
And then
You have
Yeah.
to.
studios
Not so
have
much. There's like 3.
some,
They
And
can
then
get
more-
away with that
Yeah.
without
But
having fireworks.
not a
Does
lot.
Kingdom,
studios
you
even
can't
have a
do it at
nighttime
all.
show?
Yeah, they have
Anim-
2, I
yeah.
think.
Well, Animal Kingdom used to have a show kind of in the vein. It's not the same, but kind of a proto mix of Harmonious and kind of World of Color. Like it was
Yeah.
this show that used projection on fountains and barges, but the barges were like for
Yeah.
entertainment and stuff, and it was cute. But that is
Yeah.
the smallest river, it's not a river, but the smallest little area, and it's just really hard to do anything in it. Ask any.
The show was, the show
It was
was not
Vegas-y.
good there.
Yeah,
I
it was
feel like-
It was,
Vegas-y.
I feel like it would be
well, and the biggest thing is they spent a lot of money on those barges, and they were self-propelled. They were like a GPS. They were like
Yeah.
trackless vehicles, basically in the water. And then there were performers on the water. And what I heard, until they tested the water and realized that they fell in, there's a lot of contaminants, and it wouldn't be good for the performers. So that it turned to performerless barges, and
Yep.
then the barges started hitting each other because of wind. Like I just heard nightmare issues on that.
Yeah, it was
show.
really
So,
really rough.
yeah, it was really rough.
I mean, there
I
were
feel-
years where it just didn't work.
Yep.
Yeah.
I never saw it.
I would have thought that
It's
they
where
would have done
Kite Tales went.
something like World of Color in Epcot. I feel like that's what they should have done.
Yeah.
The challenge is the water in that lagoon. Is like that's an
Is it gross?
actual.
No,
Well, no, it's not that it's gross. It's
It's
just
deep.
It's deep. It is not big enough.
Oh,
I mean, it's not. It's too big. I'm sorry.
and it's a natural water source, and there's wildlife that live in it and stuff. So, whereas DCA is literally a concrete box
Yeah.
of water.
yeah.
So they've wanted to do something like World of Color. There's just nowhere to do it in the current waterways at the Florida parks because they're not. Plus, shooting that water into the air, into the atmosphere. I mean, they do it in Harmonious, trust me, but it's like doing it at the scale of World of Color,
Mhm.
close to the guests, is probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
But I don't know that for a fact. My guess is the biggest reason is because the other thing about doing a fountain show, and I know they had this problem on the Harmonious barges, is that they had to have filtration systems on board on all of them just to get the regular lake water gunk out of it, and that is a whole extra cost. Yeah, it's always been an issue with all the fountain shows in that park.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean, Florida, I don't think we have, besides Phantasmic, I don't think we have any show based on a water setting that isn't connected to some actual like wildlife area. Because Animal Kingdom is,
Yeah.
because they take the stuff back,
Yeah.
and the same goes with all of that. I guess the only successful one that's been on a wildlife one would be the water pageant. I mean, it's not hard to do,
right.
but it's technically successful. So there you go. I will not miss Harmonious. My problem is with the barges more than anything else. I think, and it had nothing really to do with Epcot. I think is the other thing is they finally kind of really pulled the Band-Aid off and were like, nah, like let's not even act like this is about Epcot. So if they can find a better mix, or I mean, it's the 100th too, so it can be like a broader kind of show. And I think that we'll accept it in a different sort of way. But those barges, anyone who says they like Harmonious, I always say that's great. I have no problem with that. But is it worth the cost of those barges being out there all day? And no one's been able to make that equation work. It just doesn't work because it sucks. It just ruins the views.
Well, now that you're thinking about saying that, like I remember they said it was supposed to be fountains during the day, and I've never seen them be fountains.
I have, and
So
it's
that's
terrible.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we
It's-
saw
Do the
that.
fountains
right?
cover the barges? Is that what it is? So it's just like
No.
little fountains?
It's
don't know.
If you look at the concept art, it looks like it's completely covering it, and you wouldn't even know there was.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
The wind and other factors make that not possible at all. It just
Mm.
looks like someone turned on a mall fountain. Like it's so pathetic in comparison to the barge.
Okay.
It didn't work at all. But we'll see what happens with Harmonious leaving. Let's talk about another thing that's kind of bland. Victoria, we have kind of a double header here. Why don't you tell us both the stories, and then we'll just kind of get into the overall minutia of the whole thing.
All right. So I mean, I was looking over this, and honestly, a Bob's Burgers quote came to mind. It was basically, if this was a spice, it would be flour. So the Boardwalk Inn Resort, which is near Epcot in Hollywood Studios, opened a brand new coffee shop. It replaced a gift shop, I believe, or like something like that. Very bland. It's giving very modern, like modern resort, I suppose. It's done in like gray, cream, tans, a little bit of blue, and a
It's
little
giving new
gold.
build. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. So it does have like a little grab and go station, but otherwise it's a coffee shop. It did not open to rave reviews by people online.
Yeah.
I mean, I did see a tweet earlier and basically was like, the design standards of Disney is like, I don't even know how to pronounce this word, but basically the buzzwords to describe it is dynamic, inspiring, and exciting. And then there's a picture of a Whole Foods. So
yeah,
I don't know what's dynamic or exciting about Whole Foods.
Man, a lot of this kind of work goes to outside interiors firms. And, you know, the trend with these kind of things, I don't like it either, trust me. But the trend with these things is to sort of make it neutral. I don't, you know, I don't know the reasons behind that. I know that a lot of people are talking about, they call it the Genslerification of Disney, because Gensler's a giant architectural firm and the head of Disney Imagineering used to be at Gensler. Like, I get that thought process. And yeah, it probably is an interiors firm that works with Gensler. It might even be Gensler themselves, because Disney does use outside firms like that.
Or at the very least,
is,
when you're at the top and that's sort of where your head's at, like,
right,
someone's got to give a thumbs up. So yeah.
I mean, my gut reaction, my first reaction was, they do this kind of thing to appeal to, you know, Midwestern yoga pants soccer moms, you know, who want a cup of coffee before they go to the park. And
I just don't think it even succeeds in that.
I think
no,
it
you're right.
does.
Absolutely right.
I mean, here's my thing. Hold. Here's my thing, though. Do you truly go to a coffee shop for for a theme?
Oh, hell
yeah, you go for the vibes.
100%.
I go for quiet.
Yeah,
and I go
uh-huh.
for and if it's quiet, then I'm fine. But
this
I don't
place doesn't
necessarily
look quiet. It looks loud.
and that's what I was gonna say. And I was like, but if you're gonna be in the boardwalk and you know there's like families and stuff, and this is a theme park hotel essentially, is it even gonna be quiet? So my point is just like, is that what they were going for? Maybe just like a quiet coffee shop, like modern feel.
When you look at the store that it replaced, it was called Dundee Sundries, and it was just a gift shop. Remember that the like a boardwalk theme is a lot of like white slat and light color on wainscoting down at the bottom. Like, the old store was not really that themed. It just had a little more color, and the theming was like the sign itself was like stained glass, right? Because it looked like the place was, because a boardwalk was built to be built in the architecture for those things were a very particular kind of slat, you know, cheap, frankly, construction. But that store had a little tiny bit of color. And then I saw somebody tweet out today, Travel Truth on Twitter, posted this thing where it's a picture of the old Boardwalk candy shop that I guess is still there. That's original construction in the park. And it said Old Disney, and it put the new coffee shop next to it and said New Disney. And I'm like, I don't necessarily think people want something as colorful as that candy shop when they sit down for their coffee. So I'm on Victoria's side for that one. But I think there's a middle ground between what they built and something that has a tiny bit of color and a tiny bit of placemaking theme. Because like framed prints of carousels and the teacups is all that it speaks to the theme. It's like, couldn't you have some tiny moments of color somewhere? Maybe
I think that's what the gold and the blue was supposed to be, but I don't recall seeing the gold and the blue.
Yeah, so I was gonna here's my I guess like argument for more color. When you go to Disney, when you go to Disney World or Disneyland, like, you want maximalism like thrown in your face. You want everything. You want the color, you want it all, because it's like you're going on a Disney vacation. I don't want to feel like I'm going to a coffee shop that's already in my town or like down the street. So it's like, I get what they're trying to do, or like how they're trying to like make it all calm and like whatever, and they're going for the minimalist neutral colors and all these different things, which is like very modern and like very on trend right now. And I think it does speak to like Dave's point of like it is appealing to the Midwest like yoga moms because like this is what all their homes look like. Like this is what all their new build homes look like. And I just
Right.
don't want to look at their kitchen, you know, when I'm on vacation at
Look
Disney
at
World.
watch the Magnolia Network and see every house turned into
Literally.
open plan with this color scheme, and it's like,
Yeah.
oy
It's like
vey.
it's like
I
you're
get
watching
it.
HGTV. Like I just don't want to. I don't want to
Yeah.
do that.
Well,
you
I
know?
do want to watch House Hunters right now, though.
Or like, yeah, of course. Like I would love to see. Like it just feels like it was made like by the Magnolia Company. Like what's their name?
Yeah.
Joanna and
Oh yeah.
what's their
Chip and
names?
Joanna
Gaines.
Gaines.
Chip and Joanna.
Gaines.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
people. So it's like it feels like they built it. Like I want to. I'm
very them.
expecting a barn door somewhere.
They are better at bringing warmth into a design, and there is
I like the show.
Yeah,
no warmth in this.
But I just want
There's not-
more. I want it to be eclectic and like crazy and like filled with like a bunch of different
There's no
things.
fun in this.
It's not fun. No, yeah.
No. The other thing that they often factor into designs at the parks is what do they want the actual dwell time to be? And this may be a thing of they want high turnover. They want you to grab your coffee and go. They don't want to make it interesting. That I don't know that for a fact.
That's a good
but
point.
It does
that
make
discussion
sense.
happens quite a bit.
They do
Like,
not want you popping your laptop open in
They
that.
really
No,
don't.
no.
not at all. Not at all.
Well, this reminds me of there are a couple things that pop in my head. First of all, this reminds me if you go to casinos in Vegas, this reminds me of like a shop, like a coffee place in a Vegas casino, because it is that sort of like it's connected to something much larger. It's sort of it has a purpose, but it's a very specific purpose, and it's as you kind of mentioned, you go in and you go out, and like that's the thing. You guys are talking about this like it's an actual coffee shop. It's not. I mean, it is like 5 seats or 5 tables, a couple of seats connected to the
It's a
area
grab and
that's the
go.
coffee shop. It's a grab and go. I mean, Polly has this, Grand Flow has this. They all have these sort of minor whatever grab. This is for parents at 4:30 in the morning to go and grab their first cup of coffee and
You
head to the park.
guys,
It's not for enjoying. Now, that said, it still sucks and it's still not good.
Right.
And
It's just
and-
boring.
Right.
yeah, you can have
Oh,
all your
fine.
excuses about like flow and all of that, but in the end, it still kind of looks like a friggin' Hampton. And
It just
like,
doesn't feel like Disney. That's
No.
like it's a Hilton. It feels like it was. I could find this in the Hilton. Like this
Yeah.
doesn't feel like it'd be
And
at
if
a
you're gonna
Disney resort.
And if you're going to call it Carousel Cafe, like, no, you don't have to have carousel horses on display.
but you
there are
should.
things you could.
God
Well,
damn
no,
it!
but there could be one. Yeah, there could be one on display, I guess. But even then, it's like, like it's a really good one. And sorry, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's the Jolly Holiday.
Yeah.
The refurb of the Jolly Holiday in Disneyland is a really good balance of like, yes, it's part of Main Street, but we're trying to appeal to a newer audience. Like, I just think you could have taken this place and put in, maybe some of the vertical separation points in the walls looked like carousel bars were like
Yeah.
twirled gold or something, and like a little bit of pink and blue.
Like there's a restaurant at Hershey Park, and literally their bar has one of their carousel horses in the middle of it.
That's cool.
Neat.
In every part of like their restaurant, some of the seating are old like vehicles from their old rides. Like
Yeah, and like the thing about this is I kind of see a couple points. I'm gonna send you guys a link in our chat, and it's just photos of Steakhouse 71, which is the Contemporary, and Steakhouse 71 is basically doing what this is doing, and the idea is, okay, we're acknowledging Disney stuff, but we're gonna make it sleek and interesting. And I'm not saying the pictures do the best justice, but it really, really works when you're there. When you go to Steakhouse 71,
Yeah.
like it's clean and it feels
Yeah.
new, but it's got it.
Yeah.
Like there's pictures of the Space Mountain and all sorts of stuff. And this is that weird middle ground where it's like, okay, you're not
Middle
trying to
ground.
be boardwalk, but you're also
Yeah.
trying to represent a portion of the park, and you don't really land on either. It feels like the name came last. Like the
Yeah.
design was already done, and then they made, well, okay, let's call it this and let's throw up some pictures. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we're talking about this for so long, everybody, because we've seen this concern before.
it
We're
makes me
seeing it-
wonder about the Grand Floridian lobby though.
right, which is part of this topic. Victoria, give us a little information about that and we'll keep going.
Oh, well, the 35th anniversary is next year. I think it's sometime in July for the Grand Flow, and they are
Mhm.
going to be renovating the entire lobby. Basically, we know it's not up to date. Like it's giving very much so old money. It's like I walk in and I know I don't belong there, but I guess they're gonna fit it with certain changes that have already done to the resort, like the Enchanted Rose
Chandros and
and
Citrus both have already been finished.
yes, they've already
The
been
Grand Flo-
done.
Yeah.
Like and I think they're doing Mary Poppins themed
Citrus is Mary
rooms.
Poppins. Yeah. I don't know if I don't know what the rooms are going to be, but those work. Citrus looks amazing.
It is
Uh,
amazing.
It does
En-
look nice.
Enchanted Rose is
It's
great.
fantastic.
Yeah, and so like when they do these things right, and there's sort of a clamor of like, oh, I don't know about design changes. Like I've seen them do good work in that sort of like what I would call resort specific. It's hinting at something, but it's not trying to be too overt. It's a lot of use of concept art, things of that nature. It's really pretty. They did do some. The Grand Flow has a couple of the other buildings connected that have already been refurbed, and they have Mary Poppins concept art and stuff. So yeah, that's part of their whole thing. Someone mentioned on Twitter, I can't remember who, but they were sort of making this comparison of like, oh well, this is another example. This looks exactly like the cafe at Epcot. And I'm like, no, it really doesn't look like Connections Cafe. I see what you're trying to say here, which is that sort of modern, sleek wood. I don't know, yeah, those wood beams or whatever. But like that works because it is an area that it should sort of feel like an active area where people are going in and out, and this doesn't even give off that. This feels like you're supposed to stay, but everyone's going to leave anyway.
Yeah, like the Connections Cafe at least has the the big gorgeous mural they put in, right? Like that ends
That's
up being
true.
some placemaking there, even though the rest of it is very clean.
And modern things in Epcot make sense, but like it doesn't make sense in
Sure.
Oh, so I feel like they did a really good job on the Wish. If you saw like the restaurants there, they also had the same vibe of like having things that are also modern and subtle Disney. And I think I really like the way that they did that with some of those restaurants. And I feel like they're capable. It's just why does this look so awful? And this reminds me of the lounge that they had for Villains for DVC. This is like it's a very similar vibe. It's like I get that you're trying to do subtlety, but this is like too subtle. This just doesn't feel like Disney at all.
The thing that actually turns my stomach about it is not necessarily the outcome of the design. It's that I know, based on the processes that they have at Imagineering and the hotels and resorts and everything, the amount of money and time and guest research and exit polls and mind think fuckery that they put into this. They spend a lot of money figuring out how to land on this design. They really do. And that just turns my stomach, because it's like
it does
there
feel
is
by
no
committee.
place for very by committee. There's no place for a singular vision. But but part of me also understands, they have shareholders to answer to, and they probably they have entire divisions of that company that look into travel and architecture trends. And frankly, I bet there's a lot of people who have the money to go to Walt Disney World who are young families in their 20s and 30s who don't know the references of these old places at all and are sort of unwilling to learn it. Rather than Disney teach them through design, they're saying, no, let's give them what they want. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there can always be a middle ground there, and I just don't think this place nails it.
Well, I mean, that's sort of the issue that I think the Eisner era resorts have all sort of had. I think of, this is one of those, and it's like none of them leapt far enough into the theme. Like if Poly and Grand Flow are at 100%, right? When these were first built, they were at like 75%, right? There was some leaning in, but not fully. And I think that allows people to not really connect to them and like go, this is okay. I'm going to this theme park, but I'm also going to this themed resort, and I really love it. Like no one thinks about I mean, I know people that love Boardwalk, sure, but they like the Boardwalk that's there. No one's clamoring for staying at the Boardwalk, like going gaga over Swan, like
I go gaga over Swan.
Well, but you know what I mean? Like it's that difference between the kind of really heavily themed Magic Kingdom Seven Seas Lagoon
That's true. I
ones.
enjoy Swan for reasons unrelated to Disney. Like it doesn't feel like a Disney. It just happens to be close to Disney.
Yeah, 100%. So I don't know. I'm not too worried about this. I'm less worried about Graham Flo. I want to go see this carousel coffee. I probably won't because it seems like a waste of my time. But I want to see it just to actually know how it feels to be in it. And to see pictures can be real. I don't know. You put a wide angle on something and all of a sudden it looks like shit.
Yeah.
And so who knows?
Yeah.
It could be okay. You know, I don't know. I'm trying to give it to the benefit of the doubt.
Can
for
you
now.
imagine being like the person who championed this and then seeing Twitter, which my Twitter feed was mostly people being like, shut the fuck up about how
Yeah.
bad the carousel is. Like, I'm done talking about it's bad. We all know it's bad.
It's
Shut
a
up.
coffee shop. They're right.
Mhm.
It's a coffee shop in
So
the grand
no
scheme of
one's
avoid it,
things.
yeah.
clamoring to go to this specific
Like
coffee
you were
shop.
not.
Let's
It's
keep
not
it
a
buck.
destination. Like they're not
Right.
making
Yeah.
something to
Yeah.
lure you to the boardwalk.
No. No.
Yeah.
Now, if it
I
sold
think
alcohol, then maybe.
I think it's just that it's the worry that like Imagineering might be going down a certain path.
Oh, for
and
sure.
that's the
Yeah.
fear. I think
That
that's where
is-
that
yep.
that comes from. But like you guys said, it's literally no one's gonna go. We all go get our Starbucks at the theme parks anyway, and like cry about how long the line is. Like that's fine.
Let's move on from this because I agree. I think Sarah, that was a great sort of end point. Let's go over to your coast, Sarah, and talk a little bit about a couple items at Disneyland, and then Dave's going to talk us about California Adventure. But you've got something. You're not soaring over California over there. You're having soaring over Sleeping Beauty Castle with a
Yeah.
certain puffy little dude. So what's going on?
So like oh my gosh, I don't know why I just like lost my brain of thought for a second. But anyways, Baymax from Big Hero 6 is going to be flying over Sleeping Beauty Castle for Wondrous Journeys for the Disneyland 100 celebration. And I'm pretty excited about this because we don't really have Baymax in the parks. Like we don't have anything really Big Hero 6 related. And since the San Francisco news, I think that this is kind of cool. So he's going to be flying over. He looks really big, and he's going to be
Yeah.
flying in his red suit. I'm going to be
The
honest, I
armor.
never saw Big Hero 6. I am sorry. I know.
It's fine.
Girl, you get off
It's
of this podcast right
Oh,
now and go watch it.
I will not.
I'm
I
gonna
will
watch it.
not take
Okay,
this
you know
Baymax
what?
erasure.
I
It's
I will watch.
legit in my top 5 or 7
I
Disney films of
know.
all time. Sorry,
Dave,
Nathan.
you liking chunky white dudes is not a shock to me at all. So you got nothing new about this scenario.
Point taken. Wig snatched. Thank you very much.
We were silenced.
Like no, I think it's using the same infrastructure as Tinkerbell, right? It's using the
That's
cable
what it looks
system.
like, a cable.
I think it's the same
Right.
cable. He'll be flat. It's the same path, it seems. And like I
Yeah.
said, yeah, he'll be wearing his red suit. Is it a robot suit?
Flight suit, I
Flight suit.
guess. I don't
Did you
know.
ever see that?
Superhero-
Did you
It's a superhero suit.
It's a superhero.
did you ever
suit.
see the Dumbo? Did you ever see the Dumbo that went overhead? into Disneyland?
No, that's
It
right.
I
was a
saw
flying Dumbo.
videos. Yeah.
And it was basically a costume that went around the pixie performer, basically, so that the ears could flap, basically. So there was a person in there.
Oh.
I doubt
But-
this will have one because I don't think they need him to move other than maybe there's a head turn or something.
You think
but
it'll be a
I think
person?
this one will probably be all
No.
automated. No, not in this
No.
one.
Yeah, I don't think
Not
They're
this
gonna
one.
chuck in one of them Spider-Men. They're gonna put him in there.
From the pile that
Yeah, from our
that we
our
talked about.
post-heated Spider-Man. They're gonna grab
Yeah.
one and chuck him in.
They
But
can
yeah.
do without one.
They can have one. They're just gonna have to put a lot of padding around it and stuff.
Yeah,
In case
I-
it falls.
I
But-
think this is cool. I don't know. I don't have any like love. I don't hate Big Hero 6 or anything, and I know that the generation of children that are going do love Big Hero 6, or at least they know of Big Hero 6. For me, when you have the 100th, it's like, so you're gonna fly Tinkerbell, right? But you're gonna do it in a much cooler way, right? And it's like, nope, we're gonna take this IP that we kind of created 10 years ago now, and we've done a TV show and one movie, and it's Marvel.
That was my exact thinking. I was just like, this would have been fine, like maybe last year, but like this is your 100th, and everyone really. And I'm not against Baymax.
No,
I'm just like,
no, I
this is
think
your
we should do this,
100th.
but- Yeah, that's the weird thing
One-
for me
one-
is
100% disagree.
Mm.
1000% disagree.
okay. What
Oh,
makes
damn.
you disagree?
All right,
with,
Dave,
with
let it
this
why.
assessment?
because when you look at the lineup of titles for this show, first of all, it makes me very excited that it's got things like Encanto and it's got Big Hero 6. It's got Treasure Planet
Yeah, it's
on
got
it.
Treasure
Like,
Planet.
what? Okay.
That movie rips,
Love
y'all.
Treasure Planet.
Wait, I actually kind of loved that film, but I
Yeah. I
understand
do-
why
I
they
like
didn't
it
do
too.
But yeah, I think that they've done. I mean, look at Harmonious, right? The problem with Harmonious was it was just another show that had Frozen and Lion King and Be Our Guest in it.
Mm-hmm.
This is at their 100th year, saying, yeah, I bet you the show opens with a classic montage and probably closes with one too. So I don't think it's getting rid of those old characters. I think this is using the old characters to frame it and say, here's from our current, last 10 or 20 years and moving forward, what we're going to be like. We're going to
That's
be
what I was
inclusive.
thinking.
We're going to,
I
right? It's like,
agree with Dave. They're bringing it into the future.
Yeah.
Saying
Yeah.
like we're not
Yeah.
we're 100 years old. We can do all that old stuff too, but we're not only doing that.
Okay.
Right.
I
Right.
dig it. I get it.
Well, if you're going to do that, you take all of the fairies from Tinkerbell's direct-to-video series, and you just one after another, just boom, 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 boom down the line.
Just like a bunch of Tinkerbells.
just
yeet them out over
every
Main
color,
Street.
Yeet a
every color
Tinkerbell.
of fairy, all races and creeds of fairy. Just whop,
Yeah.
whop, 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 whop.
They'd be like the Blue Angels. They'd fly in formation and leave like
Yeah.
smoke trails behind them or
Cool.
something.
That
Yeah.
would rule, actually. I
That'd
would
be
like that
sick.
very much.
Yeah.
That's not in the budget, Nate.
That's not in the
They can
budget.
make the budget is infinite when it comes to Tinkerbells being yeeted out of the castle.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah,
so we-
but I have one request, which is it's the 100th, so we must kind of be reminiscent of the original Tinkerbell. So all these fairies must be 75 years old that are doing this, old acrobats going down.
So we're
That
just
is the most important
smoking a-
thing.
We're
Still gonna
using
get a
old
cigarette.
ladies.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get
we're
that.
gonna eat 100 old Tinkerbells smoking cigarettes down that cable. That's what I want to see.
That
Is there a
rules so hard.
reference
Down.
that I'm missing?
The original, one of the original, if not the original Tinkerbell that flew down Disneyland Castle was a older lady who was a former acrobat.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a man.
Nope.
I
No.
heard it was too at one point.
I mean, maybe
but
at one point. I don't know.
I think
Not the
I think they-
original though.
not the original.
No, and I think they multicasted. It was whoever was basically
Yeah.
athletic enough to do it.
And had good
and
enough
you know
legs.
that. Well,
And
yeah,
force
right.
strength.
And that system where she goes back and forth now it's only what 10 years old, maybe
Yeah.
a little less. Before, when she slid, that they caught her on like a mattress,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
Yeah, the two people with a mattress catching Tinkerbell on the way in. Like, anyway.
Oh man.
But also in Wondrous Journeys, this is pretty exciting. We're going to be seeing, there's actually concept art for this. We're going to be seeing the Sleeping Beauty wow, the Sleeping Beauty Castle.
Sleeping Beauty Castle got canceled.
Sleeping
too?
Beauty's canceled.
Breaking news.
Breaking.
Breaking news, you guys. Sleeping Beauty Castle has been canceled.
Can you? How funny is that though? That you just said the sleeping. It's. Do you get it? Because it's Sleeping Beauty's castle. And it's not woke. Like that's very funny.
Oh my god!
Yeah. See, it's been canceled.
That's
It's
a great
not
joke.
woke.
smart.
Nate,
That's a smart
please, If I
joke.
laugh too hard,
I
I'll
like
start
it.
It's a real
coughing.
smart joke.
That's
Very-
a really good
Sleeping
one.
Beauty's
Very good.
canceled because she ain't woke.
Because
She
she's
ain't
not
woke.
woke. She's not woke. I mean, back in the day, she probably wasn't. But anyways,
That's the episode title. There's the episode title right there.
Clickbait.
That's like a joke. That's like a full joke. I can't put a full joke. This is not a bazooka
so you could
Joe.
do
I
Sleeping
can't just.
Beauty canceled for
It's
being
called clickbait,
asleep.
Nathan.
yeah.
I don't know how. I don't think you guys know how podcast threads work. They don't. It's not. It's not
We're not
clickbait.
we're not producers. But anyways, so back to the main point. Sleeping Beauty Castle will be turned into Casita from Encanto, which is very exciting. Like we love to see more Encanto in the parks. So
Yes.
this is like just
Yeah.
an amazing thing that they're doing, and we all know the success of Encanto. So this is going to be really, really
I can't
fun.
wait. We're going to be
Yeah.
going in June, and I can't wait to see it.
I hope this means that they're also going to use for this show that the Main Street projections are used as well.
They
Sometimes
are.
they don't.
They are.
They
They're
are.
saying
That's what
they
I
are.
Okay, good.
heard.
I'm hearing.
Oh my
I'm hearing
God.
Small World as well. I'm hearing everything. Is
Oh
getting.
wow.
Right.
Okay.
This is, auxiliary viewing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but from the concept art, this looks
It
amazing.
looks fantastic.
And
does.
yeah,
Yes.
and they do really good projections on the Sleeping Beauty Castle. So I just feel like it would just be super awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I was worried about that song, but it seems like this this show might be really good. I don't know if you guys remember the song where Victoria thought that there was a
Yeah.
beat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
Yeah. I mean, it does sound like it's a
So-
Mumford song. It still sounds like a
Yeah.
I
Mumford
can't
song.
laugh or I'll start hacking.
Okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, that song was just it was good, but it wasn't fireworks good, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I
We'll
But
see.
swear there was a beat in that song.
girl,
Like,
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
But definitely not. I don't know. But yeah, so that's exciting. January 27th, I'm going to be there. I'll be there the first day. Hopefully to ride Mickey's Runaway Railway and also see the show.
Very
So
nice.
excited.
Moving on from that, Sarah, tell us a little bit about something that's this next part is not really news. It's not a shock at all, but it leads to an interesting conversation. So what else is going on over there at
Yeah,
Disneyland?
so Haunted Mansion Holiday, the overlay will be extended by 3 weeks. So it'll be here until January 30th, which I don't know if they've ever extended it before. Usually it's gone real quick. So it's nice because it has been like an hour wait. So we have not been able to ride it. But yeah, they're gonna be extending it. And I don't know. I don't know if that's really news. But
No, but my thing is this is the continue, like, you guys don't even like have a full-time haunted mansion any, like, I mean, you always had the holiday thing, not always, but you know, the holiday thing's been there for years.
Mhm.
And you add an extra 3 weeks and I'm kind of like going, isn't it just time to give Nightmare Before Christmas its own ride and stop bullshitting around? Like,
who do you give it to though?
And like, what does it look like? You know?
I don't have those questions answered. Don't I
You could
proposing a question
always
does
just
not mean
make
a
a
solution.
stupid little dark ride.
I think.
No,
think
Janine,
that-
it's too woke to do things like that.
I think Nightmare is a way more niche audience than you think it is. I think Nightmare Before Christmas is good, but remember, it was a flop when it first released. I went to a test screening of that in a theater, okay?
Right.
And
Whoa.
it did not do well. And
Right.
so the only reason it's gathered steam is because of Disney Channel and then home video. And frankly, I think the LA audience is primed for it because of, you know, Danny Elfman and Tim Burton, and there's sort of an insider baseball thing with the California SoCal crowd. Not that it wouldn't be popular. I just don't
Yeah.
think it's
For
it's not
Disneyland
four
especially,
quadrant.
I think it's
For
at
Disneyland
least-
especially, it could be.
I think it's at least 3.5 quadrant. I like.
I think it's too scary. I think it's a standalone ride without the Christmas theme. I think it's too spooky. It's why they changed Snow White. It's why it's not Snow White's Scary Adventure anymore.
Right. Well, I just keep it Christmas. I mean, I don't think you really need to change like the tone. Just like,
okay,
people know what they're getting into at that point.
Then you know what then here's what I would do.
Okay.
Here's what I would do. After Tiana's opens, the rest of Pooh Corner is kind of redundant. And that our Winnie the Pooh ride is a rash. Sorry, I hate it.
No, it is.
It's
It
not
is.
fun.
Yeah,
I'm
it's in
happy
Pooh.
you
It's
admit
it's
that.
in Pooh Corner.
We
Sorry.
as
It's in
West
Pooh
Coasters,
Corner
we
for
can
a
admit
reason.
when something is bad. It's okay.
Yeah.
We can do that.
So if you were literally to turn that gift shop and the ride into Halloween Town, now you're talking, right?
Right.
If it's a little corner that is always Halloween and Christmas, oh my God, especially in a town like a place like SoCal where everybody's a haunt nerd and there are 2 or 3 different competing haunt conventions all year round, right? Like I think you're right there. I would be concerned that there are exit polls somewhere that show that, you know, kids under 8 don't like it or are scared by it. Because I remember taking my nieces to see it and they didn't really get it until
the movie or
Yeah,
the ride.
Des didn't like it till he was like 9.
Okay, so
right.
We're talking about the movie. I think it's bigger than you're giving it credit. I can, all I have to do is go to Hot Topic to prove that.
I was just gonna say Hot Topic.
It's a big. I mean, I'm just gonna go back to my old, like, if you've listened to this podcast for the last several episodes, I've said this, I'm sure at some point, but like, get rid of Hall of Presidents over here, make this whole area Sleepy Hollow, and then make that a 4D Nightmare Before Christmas show. So you have Haunted Mansion and then a 4D show, and then
I'm down I'm actually down with that. Yeah, I'm down with that. No more presidents, please.
And especially since it's right across the street from the Christmas store.
Oh,
Yeah,
true.
Oh, right.
See,
Hello.
Like,
see, look at this.
Well, what are
Look
they
at this
gonna do
options.
with the? What are they gonna do with their replica of the Liberty Bell then?
I
Get
don't
rid of
know.
it.
Dump it in the river. I don't give a shit. I don't care about
Get
that
in the
fake
river.
Liberty Bell.
But yeah, I mean, I have to agree with Nathan. I feel like the Nightmare Before Christmas movie is like a part of like the Disney counterculture that's like obsessed with villains. And like if you see
totally.
so it's like if you put something like that, I feel like a lot of people also say like the whole villains area or like making villains grove an actual thing would be too scary for children. But like just don't go. If you're really scared, just don't go in the ride. Just don't go in the area. But I think a whole ride, I can't really conceptualize it. Like I can't really think of what it would look like because I feel like I've seen Haunted Mansion Holiday so much that that's like the only thing I can think of. But I like Haunted Mansion Holiday. I think it's cute.
Yeah.
I like that I like that it changes though. Like I like that Haunted Mansion changes during that season. Like it's different. Like
Oh,
it
I
kind of makes it a
agree.
bit more exciting. It adds like kinetic energy a little bit to
I
the
get
to the
that.
park.
I love a holiday overlay. Like,
Yeah.
Like Jingle Cruise is great. But my
Mhm.
thing is like, for me, Haunted Mansion not only being like a classic, which Jungle Cruise is too. I'm not saying there's not that, but it is there for so long is the other thing. Like usually you think of holiday overlays of kind of being because Nightmare is a Halloween / Christmas movie. It's not there from November 1st to January 3rd, right? It's there
Yeah, it's
from
literally like
I have
September, right?
accidentally written the Nightmare Before Christmas version far more than
Right.
I've written the original because it just so happens that for the 6 months that it's there, or 5 months, whatever.
Yeah, it's a long
That's
ass
when I go.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's where it's like, I don't know. There's no answer to this, but I just.
But the
was kind
lines
of
prove
interested
that
what
it's
you were thinking.
busy. Like it
always busy.
always has like 120-minute
Yeah,
wait. Like
true.
But Haunted
It's
Mansion's
so
going to have
busy.
a 120-minute wait no matter what. It's Haunted Mansion. So
not necessarily.
Really?
Not here.
No, not
Not
here.
really.
Interesting.
Here it'll be like on a regular like day. I would say like the highest that it could get to is like 45, and that's like pushing it.
Hmm.
Yeah, when I
I
last
would
went,
say-
when it wasn't a holiday, I waited for the regular 130. But when I last went, I didn't even get to ride it because it was 120.
I
Yeah.
suppose that's not as much of a featured attraction as it is over here. You guys have like, you also have in Disneyland you have Galaxy's Edge, and I think that also weirdly takes a lot of the brunt of.
It's on the way to it too. So it's like if you're
Mm.
you're passing it,
Interesting.
And then you have to factor in the new movie will probably give more interest in it here.
That's
Ooh,
true.
true.
That is
Yeah.
very true. Depending on which mansion they do.
Yeah, I just don't like that they make the overlay like super, super long because it makes it less special.
Yeah,
It would
that's
be
true
cool if
too.
it was just like for like a month, but
Yeah.
then you would never be able to get on it. So-
Right.
Dave, take us over to California Adventure. And
All
we're
right.
only saying this is a California Adventure one because it kind of sort of connects to California Adventure. So go ahead.
So I first when I was first read this news report, I was kind of like, this is a non-story. They already have it. But then when you dig into it, it's like, oh, I see what they're doing. The TLDR of this is that they are basically filed a patent for toys and souvenirs and things that can interact with rides. Now we've seen them do this before with the glow in the show ears, but more appropriately, it's the comparison they make in the article is web slingers, because you can buy this special sort of glove thing, and I did it. I bought one and I tried it in web slingers, and it basically gives you slightly different weapons on the projection screens and a little bit better scoring because you have like these super power-ups. But they're saying basically they are now patenting the idea that merchandise that can interact with theme park rides, which is kind of I would be very interesting to see the actual details of this patent, because it could be argued that Universal does this too with the wands and now with Super Mario and with the wristband. So I'm not sure what makes this special in the patent, because it has to be very specific. But the basic idea is they're saying we are going to have widgets that you can buy in the gift shops that will customize and personalize your experience as you go into attractions.
So this is just for attractions?
It says into theme park rides. It specifically says rides. But that's
Mhm.
what the article says. I don't know what the actual patent says.
Because then it would be different than the ones that are universal. Because the ones not universal they're compatible with things that are outside of the rides,
Right.
kind of
Sure,
like a
sure.
magic
But
band.
yeah, yeah.
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 But like but technically your wristband, while it doesn't interact with you on Mario Kart, it does sense that you're seated there, and it will,
Oh,
and your achievements and score go to your little Nintendo account that you set up when you go through the park
oh, that's
interactives.
cool.
So
Mm.
Okay.
so yeah, oh, and I also heard rumor that what was not rolled out at the beginning of Japan Mario World that will be here is it will connect to your Nintendo account overall. So any achievements you
wow.
make in the park roll out to your Switch.
That's cool.
No.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's a game
Oh,
changer.
man.
right. And well, yeah, and it's it's the toy to game phase that it started with Disney Infinity and Skylanders and stuff is now like the park's going, oh, we can do that on a ride scale or a show scale.
That is the perfect
there's-
storm for me as a person.
Honestly, same.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be fun. The question remains though, do you gate a better experience for people with price?
Yeah.
And there's no right answer to that. I would say they already do.
Yeah, you see it at Harry Potter World where you buy the $60 wand and you get to interact with the things in the windows,
And I would argue it's not even just interactive. Like this goes back to wearing mouse ears in the park, right? They sell mouse ears so you can feel like you're part of it. Like I don't necessarily separate the fact that this now, if it changes the attraction on such a grand scale, like there's a track switch and you only see a certain part of it if you're playing the game. Now, I say that having designed that into a ride once, and it was cut for budget, but not because of intent, because they love the idea of an upcharge. Yeah, there was a whole scene that certain riders would get if they were playing the park-wide game. It was for the Warner Park in Abu Dhabi. It never happened. I'm on the fence about it. My business side goes, yeah, hell yeah, do it. But if the other, my creative side is like, if it doesn't really change it, like the problem I had with this Web Slingers one is it didn't change it enough for me to really care. I've never brought the Web Slinger band back into the park, even though I'm a Magic Key holder. So I don't, unless it can fundamentally make a better experience, I'm not necessarily.
I mean, honestly, I feel like this would only really be beneficial for like locals or people that's gonna come back more than once. But like you said, like if you're a pass holder, you don't even bring it back.
I just see myself here and I am the mark because I have a little boy who's going to be like, I desperately need the thing. Yeah. I need it this one time and it's $30.
Yeah.
And I just throw my $30 into the pit and he gets to do the dumb thing and it changes an animation on a screen or like makes an animatronic move and that's he loves it and that's that.
I mean, Victoria, I would have to disagree with you. Yeah, I would have to disagree with you because I think that there's a far better chance. There are things I've never done as an annual pass holder because I'm like, I'm not gonna pay for that. Like that's a joke. Like I get to go here whenever. But when you're there and it's like your one time and you're like, oh God, I spent so much money. What's $30? Like whatever makes this the best vacation in the world and my kid will love me. You'll do it.
No, I agree. I was just saying, like, if you're a local, then maybe it might not work. I mean, me personally, I got like 4 Harry Potter wands and I've only like
you're just bringing them all. You're just Jack to the park. You're just bringing out all the wands, like Wolverine.
No, I'm like, which one's gonna look great with the photo?
No, the reason I have more than one is every time I go, I forget to bring the one that I already
That's
bought.
Literally what I was gonna say. Yep. Like I would forget.
Like I've not purchased one of those.
But the question,
we leave it in the car for that reason. We leave one in the trunk just in case.
I had to leave my magic band in the car because I kept forgetting it. Like I was like, I bought this stupid thing, I better use it. But the question of whether or not it's ethical, I feel like I don't know if we can really answer that because it's like you already go into the park by choice. Like you don't have to go to the park. It's subjective. It's very subjective. Like you don't have to go on the ride. You don't have to like get those things. So it's like if you have the money, sure, spend it.
Right.
But it's like go for it. Am I gonna be a hater on the side? Absolutely. But like I I don't know. I feel like if you
it's not a
might,
public
why
good.
not? I think it only
So,
becomes a problem
it-
if the scenes, like you were saying, Dave, if it like changes a scene and the scene is like 10 times
Yeah.
better and the CGI is like 10 times better, and then like the cheap free
Yeah, right.
version
yeah.
is
Dave,
like
I just want to
shitty.
note that if I were to write a Christmas Carol version of a theme park designer, the scene that makes them feel like they're Scrooge would be, and then there's another track where they pay more money. Like you literally did the thing that I would make a Scrooge do, but
Oh yeah, I mean we knew it going there, but the thing is, it was the payoff for a really cool game in the park.
okay.
So it didn't necessarily improve. It wasn't a scene in the ride that you would miss if you missed
Okay.
it. It's
All
a
right.
scene that if you played the game in the park, paid off in a way that's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
that happened just for me.
Yeah,
Right?
can you
So it
imagine
makes
if
sense.
like
Yeah.
if all of a sudden Haunted Mansion's like get Genie Plus and you can see the Hatbox Ghost.
yeah, right. Exactly.
You know they'll do that in the future. It's coming.
Don't tell them. Don't tell
I
them.
think don't
It's
tell them.
coming.
I think if you don't know about the interactives in Super Mario World, right? They're all over the land.
Yep.
That they sync to your phone, and then you get like little stickers basically as achievement in your phone. And if you complete the whole quest more than once, there's different stickers every time you complete it, from what I hear. And then I hear they're going to add seasonal stickers like holiday and so there'd be different. It's quests through the same interactives, but for different purposes. The
And
other
you get
big
a
one,
final
you know
show.
about
Yeah.
right, Bowser. The Bowser challenge is revolutionary because they literally created not an e-ticket attraction, but it's a solid like C or D ticket attraction that you can only see if you complete the 3 key quest with your bands. Like it's
That's
a
cool.
straight up attraction with a line that you can't get in unless you've done this thing. So to me, that's fantastic. But yeah, you got to pay $30 to do it. For me, it's the equivalent of cheap seats versus expensive seats at the concert. I don't mind sitting in the back because I'm fundamentally getting the same concert, but I'm not getting the concert that $500 will get me to stand 10 feet from the
Dave,
performer.
I need you to rewind because what is this about Bowser Challenge? And you can only do it if you've done certain achievements in the park. Because I don't know about this, and I
Okay,
feel like
so you need to go on YouTube and go to Tokyo Disney Explorer. My friend Chris, he has got the largest, the first and largest English language Asian park fan site, and he did a full video of the entire playthrough of everything that the power band goes with, and it is a land wide. And there are various quests that you do. There's 2 or 3 sort of standalone games that are sort of large scale self-contained games, and then there's everything else is just stuff you can punch and make things happen, and you gather coins, and on Mario Kart you get coins if you do the turning interactive correctly. It's like a timing thing.
God.
And what this does is and those you can do without any worry about completion. You can just do all that stuff all you want. However, there are 3 keys hidden in those interactives that the app gives you clues on where to find them. And when you find those 3 keys, it tells you, all right, now they basically created a boss level in the park.
Yeah. It's Bowser Jr., right? Is that who
It's
it
Bowser
is?
Jr.
Yeah.
And just know it's not a ride. What it is like a tiny little show where everybody's standing in sort of a half circle. There's this big, giant, wide projection screen in front of you. You see yourself on screen as a shadow. It's like, remember Connect, where your whole body is the controller? It's that, but it's mapping you in, a little outline of you and a little silhouette. And so you do the same punching, jumping, and ducking that Mario would do as you interact with Bowser Jr. and his minions.
so
And the whole
cool.
goal is the goal is for everybody to defeat him. And it's just a projection gag with interaction. And it's not very long. It's like less than a minute. But you can't do it unless you buy the band and find the 3 keys, which to me is totally fair with a brand like Nintendo, because Nintendo is about gameplay, right? And so it is literally
shelling out
saying,
money.
do you have what it takes? Well, yes, and
$60 every time. There's no discounts, baby.
Every time, right? So
That part.
whatever, capitalism. But from an experience standpoint, that's like I'm excited for the AR ride. I'm excited for the park-wide interactives. But as a designer, I was like, they literally gated an attraction, made a hard gate on an attraction based on accomplishments.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's
That's
cool,
crazy.
too.
Yeah, and it's something you would not have done before the internet, because people wouldn't have known about it.
No.
one, you couldn't have got the
God.
information out.
How much do you want to bet there's going to be like lines outside of guest services because of this? Like, why?
No,
How can,
no.
You don't think so? I feel like there would
Nope.
be, because they're going to be
Nobody-
so
nobody
I
makes
don't
lines
think
that
it's
I
a
guess
high
because
enough
of the-
value.
I
Of an
think because there's
experience.
not that much to do. Okay,
And
well,
the
there's only
buy-in isn't
one ride in Nintendo World. There's going to be one ride. The
Right.
rest of it is just like
Yeah, they didn't do Yoshi.
interacting with just like the land. So the fact that there's technically another ride, like quote unquote, I feel like that would make people a little bit upset
I
that
think
they
it's more
can't
of the
do it.
equivalent to the Pirates Adventure in Adventureland.
Yeah.
here.
That's what it sounds
Yeah.
like. Like it
it's-
sounds like that, like the thing at Epcot.
Yeah, DuckTales.
Yeah,
now
but
at Epcot,
but you
and-
don't
yeah.
have, but you don't have to pay for that.
Correct.
Um,
Correct.
Yeah.
I think the analogy for me is as far as guest satisfaction and people being pissed is, you didn't buy your kid a wand, so they can't do magic spells. That
Yeah.
mad about it. Like
Oh, I guess
from a
that's fair.
customer's-
Yeah, that's true.
From a customer standpoint, okay, sorry you didn't like it, but I mean, again, from your point earlier, these are not egalitarian places; they are capitalist
True.
centers.
Yeah.
So
And-
I'm not surprised they did this, but just from an
Right.
experience standpoint, the fact that I can't believe this didn't get past the pitch stage, and somebody there really pushed hard for me. I don't know that for a fact, but it's
Yeah.
like this is the kind of thing that I've seen get shot down over and over and over again for exactly that concern, like
Yeah.
guest complaints, people feeling left out, fear, FOMO. I think with Nintendo, you have a completely different playing field, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also Universal has set the rules, like in a very interesting
Yeah.
way. Harry Potter
Yeah.
had kind of made it clear that there are things that you can do in a land if you buy a thing. And because of that, there's less of an issue. And look, I mean, Magic Kingdom technically did it with sorcerers, the cards, like there are things that have been attempted before like this. And I think the thing is like beyond the Bowser Jr. challenge part, which you can't see, like the wands, I've loved watching people do their wand stuff. I never bought a wand, but I can see it all.
Yeah.
And I can see all the other
Yeah.
stuff people do in Mario, except for that last part. And it's probably not, I mean, I think when it comes down to it, it's like you're going to Universal, you sort of understand that rule, and they've created it in an interesting way that feels immersive to the
Yeah.
environment and not like we're keeping you out, we're gatekeeping. So I think people will just buy into it.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It's a pay to play.
We
Yeah.
will find out in what, 2 months? A month and some change?
Ooh, some
They're
change.
a month. Yeah, they're already good. They're going to start doing annual pass holder previews soon.
Yeah, January 5th, you can sign up for them. So I'm
Yeah.
going to be hitting that refresh button.
Dave, you mentioned Tokyo a little while ago. Let's go over there. We have some very interesting news out of Tokyo.
This one
Disney.
has me
This is-
sad. This one
Oh,
has me
this
so
is-
sad.
It has me very happy. Actually, it has me exceedingly
Mixed
happy.
about it.
I
Mixed
see
about
both.
it.
I see both reasons why people might be sad, but
Yeah.
I love this kind of. This is classic Tokyo Disney. Like we don't give shits about you. Like we're gonna tell you the rules. This is very Tokyo Disney. What's
Yeah.
going on?
I mean, first of all, how many of you actually have read on the back of your printed ticket what
Right.
your user agreement for the parks are? How many read a user agreement for anything you purchased? You scroll by and go, okay, right? So what
Yeah.
they've done is they've taken their theme park usage agreement, which is printed on the ticket, and it's on the website when you buy a ticket. And one of the things listed is in its prohibited acts. It's the part of the agreement that says, no commercial photography, unruly guests will be can be kicked out at the management's purview, blah 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 blah. Right? It's all of that. In that, under prohibited acts, there's a little gem that says purchasing products or souvenirs for the purpose of resale. So Tokyo Disney has literally made YouTube resellers basically illegal. Like if they catch you doing
eBay
it, they can
resellers?
if
do you mean?
Yeah, sorry, did I say
Yeah.
YouTube? eBay
Yeah.
resellers. Yeah. And like now the thing is it's not really going to stop it because the first wave will be pass holders that go in just to shop will have their passes canceled, but they can't stop people coming in for one-day tickets. But what they can do is legal action against an eBay seller.
I mean, Tokyo doesn't
Um,
even have annual passes anymore, do they?
Not
No,
right
no, they
now,
don't.
no.
Because like
I think
sorry, go ahead.
I
Dave.
think
no, go,
I was gonna say the Tokyo the Tokyo like reseller business like on Instagram is like huge. Like there's so
Nuts.
many accounts that you could like DM them to like purchase something. So this one makes me a little sad because like I really love Tokyo merch, and like we obviously can't get it in the US
Yeah,
It's
unless
the best
you.
merch.
Right.
It's
always
literally the best.
It
merch.
literally is the best merch.
Yeah, but
That's why I'm sad. But I
yes.
get it. I get it.
It's understandable.
I understand.
I think the biggest thing is how they're gonna enforce it. I just don't.
Right.
It's not easy to enforce. I think what they're trying to do is send a message out so that you don't get the people lining up 5 hours ahead of new Duffy merch and literally selling it out in 20 minutes because they buy 10.
I mean,
10
we've
pieces.
seen in Epcot people and other launches of things of people having like wheelchairs stacked with shit. Like that's that sort of behavior that we've whined about for so long is going to be verboten. And I think just cracking down even on just the most egregious stuff, even if a lot of like, one-offs make it through, is worth doing.
I feel like they should have just limited one item per person. Like, why don't they just like do limits?
I guess
they tried that here.
They did, but
people
were
bringing in like fake baby dolls.
Well, because I
Crazy
remember
shit,
there was like when I was working in retail, they would tell us like, oh, like it's 10 items. That's like the limit for like certain things. But then you'd always get managers like coming in and being like, oh, it's okay, just let them buy it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
because
Like,
people
whatever.
fight about it.
Well,
Yeah.
not only that, but the managers have quotas.
Exactly. Like I remember the plans that we had to hit. Like I remember that. So it's like I feel like it's no matter what, it's gonna continue. Like
Not to mention
Except it's Tokyo. And Tokyo, where there's a rule, there's a rule.
they don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
They do not give a single fuck. And I love that for them.
I feel
Don't
like the
love
only
that
way-
for me, but love that for them.
Yeah, exactly. The only way they could like crack down on this is like if they go to the Instagram pages and find out who the sellers are and then like block them from
Cut their
coming into the
passes
park.
or-
Yeah,
Which
like
I
something
mean,
And they
like that.
will.
They will.
Well,
I know that Oriental Land Company,
the-
man. They'll do it.
for the people that do it at a certain scale, I think.
I
Is
think
what
it's
they're
the
gonna go after.
scale that's
Yeah.
the issue because
I think so.
Yeah.
It's like some
yeah.
people's like salary. It's a check like for a lot for those Instagram sellers.
It really is.
OLC have created precog crime. They figured it out, and so they know who's going to resell
I think
before.
here's what I
Minority
think it's going to
Report
lead
style.
to.
So there you go.
Here's what I think it's going to lead to. Remember when there used to be only park merch available in the park, and now we have this little Shop Disney app and website?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to bet that a certain amount and a certain quantity of Tokyo Disney merchandise is going to start selling online and shipping internationally?
I hope so.
I
I
would
bet-
be
I bet
shocked
you
if they
money.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you money.
I can see that.
Yeah.
The thing that actually perked my ears up a little more was they also added a ban on, quote, filming for commercial purposes, end quote. Now, most parks have that, right? They already have, that's usually in the boilerplate almost everywhere on a lot of private property. The thing is, I don't know if it's the way it's worded, or is this something that's going to lead to, you know what? YouTube is for commercial purposes. You're making money off of that footage.
And live streaming.
Have they not
that was
always
live
had that?
streaming.
Live
No,
streaming,
they
I think.
only did that
Yeah.
a few months ago for Tokyo. And that was a big
So-
thing on TikTok. Like it kind of
Yeah.
freaked people out because they were like, are they gonna do this in the US? First off, no. I doubt that because
No.
you just saw what they did with their fighting policy.
We don't have enough cast members
Nice.
to figure out if you're live
Right,
streaming
like-
anyway.
Yeah.
They don't even
No.
want to do anything with the resellers now. Let's put a limit on it. Oh, never mind. We're not going to do that. Like
Yeah.
we're
Right,
we're
right.
good.
What do you
Right.
think the reason for them to do that?
I don't know.
for-
I don't really.
You think
Go
it's
ahead.
cultural, maybe?
100%
I think it's
cultural.
cultural. It's 100% cultural. They're
Yeah.
very into like respecting people's privacy.
You know
there.
what? I like that because I
And
feel like
I respect that.
I respect that because I feel like there's such like a weird surveillance like culture here. Like you will end up in someone's background. Like I don't like that. I don't like being in people's like videos, photos in the background. I think it's very
Right.
weird. And then like posting that stuff to the internet for everybody to see. Like what if I wasn't supposed to be there that day? What if I lied to somebody? Like I don't know.
Sorry,
or you have a stalker.
Yeah.
Sorry, why do you need an alibi? What's going on?
I don't know.
Why are you looking for alibis, Sarah?
You
Sarah,
good?
Sarah has this plan in mind that I don't know.
Sometimes
She's
so
like,
what
I
if
may or may
what if
not
I
have
told
at some
somebody
point called in sick and gone to
for
But
sure.
also, sorry, I'm kind of
100%.
glad you said that because it's gonna make me a little more aware of my surroundings when I film in the parks for YouTube. So I'm glad you actually said that.
Well, because like I feel like if I even if it's I don't have that many followers or anything, but even if I'm posting something, like I'll censor people's faces because like what if they're not supposed to be there? Like I'm not trying to get people caught
Right.
up, you know?
Or
And that's a
maybe as
big-
a child.
Or as a child,
Right.
like
That's a
and
big deal in Japan. And so
Yeah.
all these rules these all fall in line with we're talking about the park where people sit down for parades and fireworks. Like it's
So
so smart
respectful.
and
So
wonderful.
nice.
And it's I'm gonna eventually go and do my absolute best to shrink and be the least American I can be. Like I'm from Ontario. Like please, I'm quiet. Leave me, I'll try
Just
very
hide.
much to be Canadian. We'll see how that pans out. But
I mean, you're gonna blend in better than I will, I guess.
For real, me and Victoria got
You're gonna
we
be
got nowhere to
like,
hide.
we have nowhere to hide.
well, I have no comment on that. But you're also not wrong. We are going to move back to the States and talk a little bit real quickly about, well, we're not really going to talk about it. Janine, you're going to review for us. You did Jurassic World Escape Room over at City Walk.
I've been
Did.
ready for this. I'm right
Yeah.
here.
What'd you
did it
think?
on the 17th. I did it with my brother, and my first impression was, oh my God, it was so expensive. It was 2 tickets for my brother and I on a Saturday night, and I think I spent $150 at minimum, $150. It was about an hour long. So at least it was maybe even a little longer than that. So from that perspective, the set design was pretty good. The story was not great, which imagine that, like a Jurassic World IP doesn't have the best script writer. There were parts of it that were good, and I really enjoyed the parts that were good, but overall it was not worth $150.
Interesting.
That's
I've
surprising.
heard that the Back to the Future one is better.
Yeah.
I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you get Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah. So
So
I will
that's
be
something.
going back and trying the Back to the Future one with my boys. And I went with my brother, who is the preeminent Jurassic Park fan. And so he's very picky. And so it was, maybe I would have had a different opinion if I had gone with a lay person, but because I went with like the Jurassic Park fan.
Yeah.
Um,
He's like, that's the wrong species.
No,
It's
no,
a
no, no, no,
subspecies.
they
weren't even in Jurassic
fine
World.
with that, but he's also like he's working on like a Jurassic Park spin-off short film right
Right.
now, and so he's like paying attention to script writing and things like that, and cohesive of the story, and the story just didn't really make sense, and like it starts to pick up, and you're like, oh, this is good. This is going to be really cool. And then the thing that's cool just like drops off in the next room, and it just picks up like a kind of totally different sort of storyline.
interesting.
And I don't want to give any spoilers, but like
Yeah.
the part that makes it cool doesn't really hold out. It just ends in one room. And you think that like something's going to carry through the whole experience,
Right.
and it doesn't.
Can I ask this really small spoiler question? So spoilers if you don't want any spoilers, just a small spoiler. Do you get to actually see physically any dinosaurs?
No.
Okay.
There is a dinosaur that's in like a cage, but that's a screen, and then there's like one scene where there's like you see an eye, but it's like just an eye.
Automatically not worth $150
Not
than if I
worth
don't see a
100.
real dinosaur.
You don't.
Because then I'll
Okay.
just take that and pay for a ticket and go on Velocicoaster where I'll see.
Yes,
A
the
Velocicoaster.
queue. So it really like the queue for Velocicoaster. So like some of the design was really good. But it was very sterile, kind of cheap. The
Mm,
queue for Velocicoaster is better.
that makes
Wow.
sense. A little bit. I get that.
So, question then. So, being as though this location was originally like a nightclub, do you think they did well with the space that they had to create the escape room?
Yeah, I think I don't know how long it'll last. Maybe they'll cycle
Mm.
through and like update and change them into different things at some point. The Jurassic World one there's no replay value for that at all.
Well, supposedly they said that the way they built the software and puzzles into the system that there is and you did it, not me, but that there's some sort of randomization in terms of the solves for
Oh, I
those
could see that.
puzzles.
No, I could see that. A lot of it was like just touch screen things.
Yeah.
Not too much. I've heard this was my only escape room that I've ever done.
Hmm.
And so I've heard
Oh,
that some
okay.
are like very heavily touchscreen based, but there were some really tactile experiences that I really enjoyed. And the ones that I liked the most had like you have to charge these canisters, and so they're like 2 pounds, and you got to constantly work as a team to like move things around to shuffle and while someone's entering a code, and like that was when it got to its best, and its worst was more touchscreen basic stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, I recently watched some videos of the Jurassic World exhibition that's been going around, and it looks. I think it's a mix of puppetry and robotics, but they do some really cool stuff with dinosaurs in small spaces. So I thought, well, maybe there'll be something, just a little something.
I know,
So,
it's just one of the animatronics that they have in the queue for Velocicoaster.
even the raptor. Yeah, I assumed. I was like, oh, that's what that.
They
will be.
have-
Like easily a raptor.
Yeah.
Like easily.
No, it's a screen. They have one room that's like pseudo outside, and that part is pretty great.
Mm.
And I wish there was more outside and not just you're in a lab.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Well,
Okay. Well, thank you, Janine, for a little bit of news on that. I'm hoping to do Back to the Future as well. We'll review that once we've all had an opportunity to do it. So,
Yeah.
I wanted to keep you guys informed, our listeners, of we're talking last episode a little bit, or the episode before, about the unions that Disney and Walt Disney World cast members and their unions have been sort of going back and forth, and they were like kind of on the brink of strike for a little bit there. No good news, but just news that the unions are going to resume negotiations with Disney over wages in January. So basically, everybody went on holiday. So that's where that stands. We'll keep you updated when more news comes out. We are going to talk a little bit, though, and this is I think 3 of us have seen it, and it's the big movie that's still making tons of money. Even though it's been out a little while here, so we'll just review a little bit here. Avatar: The Way of Water. I saw it. I believe. Who else said they saw it? Janine, did you say
I
you
saw it.
Okay.
I saw it.
And Dave saw it. Janine, I believe you didn't like it, if I remember correctly.
I had to talk myself into not leaving.
That's rough.
wow.
I'm
Wow.
surprised.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
I
pretty
mean, other
rough.
people loved it, and like my brother loved it, and generally he and I have very similar taste in films, but on this one, he loved it, and I couldn't get into it. It's beautiful, visually
Mhm.
incredible, and so for that, it's worth going to see, I guess. But I don't know. I'm sounding really snobby and repeating myself, but the story
No, the
is
writing
just
is the dialogue's a little rough at times.
so
for
bad.
Sure.
It's not just there's huge plot holes.
Well,
me.
I'd have to see it again
Yeah.
to know about that. Let me ask real quick what you guys saw it in. I saw it in Dolby 3D. I went full like bore best I could
I
get.
think I did too.
Okay.
I saw it in IMAX 3D.
I think IMAX
Okay.
3D is what I saw it in.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Did you guys have
the-
the 48 frames per second frame rate?
The high frame. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
It's funny. That's actually you. If you saw it in IMAX, you did.
You
That's
did.
a good sign that you would. So yeah, like I hated it in The Hobbit when it was the entire movie, and it just stuck out like a sore thumb and looked like a BBC teledrama.
Yeah.
And so I've been thumbs down on high frame rate, but I thought the way he used it in this, in terms of going back and forth, what he did basically, Janine, is that during the slow scenes, it's 24 frame, which is cinematic language, which is what you're used to seeing, a little bit of motion blur, a little softer. And during the action scenes, he would pump it up to 48 frame, and he would guide into those scenes with like buffer zones of scenes that were 24 frame doubled. And so your eye never, so what ended up happening is your eye never noticed, your brain never notices. And it worked for me. I thought it was really great.
Yeah. I had to stop and kind of go, oh, I think this is in a different frame rate. Like, yeah, my brain didn't pick up on it like at a switch, but yeah, those
Right.
transitions, that was a new tech that some company reached out to him and and they worked on that, which I thought was a real innovative idea, because I think there's been a couple movies that have been high
Yeah.
frame rate, like you said, The Hobbit, and when it's the whole thing, it's really weird. But I thought that was
Right.
kind of interesting.
It's like when you turn your TV on, when you turn that smoothing on your TV that you turn off on your parents' TV every time you visit, right? It's
Yeah. Well, and to give people an idea, 24 is cinema, like we said. Most local news is 60. So 48 is kind of in the middle range there. And so it has that kind of more home video vibe if you see a whole movie like that, and it's really weird. But when it's just action sequences, it does feel like that motion smoothing, but it works for it because it's taking already very much computer generated material and like letting you kind of, in most of the time you're seeing it in 3D. And so it's actually giving you a little more opportunity to sort of absorb what you're getting via milliseconds, but it certainly helps, and it's certainly an interesting way of doing it. And yeah, story wise, I thought it was kind of on, I think it's better than the first one because it didn't have to do all of the origin story stuff, which I get really bored with. And he's just a big blue dad now.
What has Sam Worthington done since
Nothing.
the first one? Does anyone know?
To be honest, I believe he went to rehab for a while, if I remember correctly.
Okay. All right. Good for him. Good for
Because
him.
if I remember correctly, being in the biggest movie of all time, and was probably a bit of a pressure. And then I think he did Clash of the Titans, and that was it.
Question then, is this based on everything I've heard this past month, because I've been on and off with seeing this movie, it just sounds like it's just 3 hours of vibes. That's really all it sounds like.
It is. I mean, like I agree.
Like
with
you're
Nathan.
not going in for the
a little
plot.
better.
You're going in for the cinematography,
for the visuals. Yeah,
I think you get into. I think that the stakes feel higher this time. I think that because kids are involved. You actually.
So what are we talking about
like,
as far as stakes? Are we talking about like Avengers Endgame stakes?
No,
are we talking
we're
like
talking about,
Hercules stakes?
We're talking about having so the first movie, right, is like, it's just, I don't like saying it's just Dancing with Wolves, but it kind of is. Like, it's a guy.
Nathan, it's Dancing with Wolves with a little bit of Pocahontas.
This is more like Free Willy.
A lot of Pocahontas.
It's very Free Willy. It's really Free Willy.
Yeah, if you like Free Willy, you'll love this movie. There's no joke.
The first one isn't. If the first one is an ecological disaster message about Earth as a whole, this one is specifically about oceans and ocean life. And
so it's Moana.
Well, yeah, kind of. And I found it, even though the dialogue's a little clunky in it, I found that part of the story a little less corny than the first one. There's this whole thing where he communes with a whale, and here's the thing: you're either going to buy into it or you're not. And I heard people in my theater like laugh and giggle. I loved it, and I was actually kind of moved by it. But but the messaging is very much a hammer over your head. It is not subtle about telling you that our oceans are fucked and we need to do something about it.
Yeah. Here's the thing about the dialogue. James Cameron writes like it's 1995 still. All his dialogue sounds straight out of the mouth of John Connor. Like he literally, like, one of the kids, I don't remember the line, but he calls one of the henchmen a dipshit. And I was like, I've not heard the term dipshit used in a movie since probably Terminator, if it was the last time that it was used.
The bro counts were off the charts.
Yeah, but the bro counts all came from the bros.
There was one line I heard, and I need to know if it's true.
Okay.
Did the villain at any point say, "Why so blue"?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes.
I heard it, but I didn't. It was said in a way where I didn't know if they were serious when they told me or not. So I just had to know.
Yeah, they did, and it gets a groan. It gets a groan from the audience, which is, I think, intentional. I think it's intentional.
My issue with, since we're talking about the villain, is I just don't get it. Like, there's this throwaway line that like Earth is trashed, so they need to like win over the natives so that humanity can move to Pandora.
The stakes
wasn't that the first
it's a
movie?
throwaway line.
But it's not, though, because remember, Jake Sully was a revolutionary who overthrew billions of dollars of corporate greed, and they lost a ton of profit. So of course they're going to go back and kill him because they're going to take over the planet anyway. So the only way to do that is chop off the head at the top, which is he was the leader last time. They have to do it again.
Right.
So
now they're
to
after
me, that
something
was
new, but yeah. I mean, the grand scheme is Guys, just go see it. Edie Falco's in it. What do you need? What more do you need? You can see Edie Falco in
I'll
Dolby
tell you-
3D in IMAX. Edie Falco in IMAX. What do you want? Well, this is the best.
Technology wise, the thing that broke my brain was knowing that it's motion capture and almost everything that you see is not touchable in digital. But then you have a bunch of human characters, the kid in every scene. I'm like,
it's crazy.
Wait a minute,
it's crazy.
My brain just broke. Like, I try to figure out what the production process would be to get a half-naked Mowgli like a real human in amongst all these motion capture people that are twice his size in a completely fanciful environment. Like, I cannot wait for the behind the scenes stuff on this, because I think a lot of people just wave their hands and go, oh, it's all CG. And it's like, hang on, it is way more complicated than that. And he is setting, like, we would not have digital production for shows like The Mandalorian and a lot of other shows. Like, granted, they're using the Void,
credit her for that. I give him
that's the most interesting part
flowers
for me.
that.
Like, I can't wait to watch the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I think there's so much that he does. Like, it's still a very, very privileged white guy, and there are problematic things about how he's representing Caribbean culture, yada, yada, yada. But which all is a good discussion. And Polynesian, it's a good discussion to have. It didn't affect me, but that's part of the problem. But
he brought those people in. To be fair, he's lived in New Zealand working with Weta for like 10 years now, and he brought those people in. So, the chief is of that culture. Like, all the references come from in the same way that Disney takes Moana and is like, well, this is that, but not really, but kinda. It's that. It just feels a little more sensitive because it's a live action opposed to an animated movie.
Exactly. And it's like he put in the work and he put in the homework and put in the consultants. I'm sure they were all there. You're still going to have the woke Twitter mob railing for it, which is fine. If anything, that keeps the conversation going, so studios do it more often, which is always a good thing. But technically, you can't bet against Cameron. You just can't. People say this is a flop, and I'm like, trust me, it is not. What it's made internationally.
I don't know why people are saying it's a flop.
Not anymore. They were last week. They were like, oh, it's not going to do it, and then it's
made
over a billion.
To be fair, I said I hope it flops. I never said it was gonna flop. I hope it flops.
That's fair. But the only reason I want to watch it now, because I really didn't want to watch it. I was gonna watch it regardless. But the way that you're talking about, like, all the technology that they're using in this film, like, I want to see what that looks like. I want to see what the 48% per second looks like.
48, it's great. And look, Sigourney Weaver plays a teenager, and it totally works. And I don't think that's the phrase I would have said.
That blew my mind.
The moment you see it, you go, I get it.
So question
it works.
Final question.
Okay.
Sorry, I have a lot of questions.
That's fine.
So how do you think this is going to translate into Pandora in Animal Kingdom?
James Cameron already wants to, and he's talked to Bob Iger about doing a new Flight of Passage film, and rotating that in and out.
Underwater.
I wish they would have done it, like, to promote the movie. But again,
one would think.
I remember saying on this podcast, like, you would think they would want to do that for a movie that's supposed to make $1 bajillion or needs to, but again, they didn't, and the movie is doing just fine. So
that might have had something to do with the switch in leadership at that point too.
Yeah,
I feel like Iger, who's Iger's more of a creative, so he would have jumped on that. Versus Chapek, who's more of a numbers person, and he wouldn't be on board with that.
Yeah,
and they don't necessarily need it right now. That even though the movie will be a year old, they could do it next summer and it'll be just fine. Can we talk though? They've already filmed 3. Can we talk about the title for 3? Am I the only person that thinks it's gross?
There's a 3
called The Seed Bearer. There's 5 total.
There's 5, but they already filmed 3. Yeah,
3's done.
Who's bearing the seed? I'm so confused.
Well, once you see the movie, you kind of.
I don't like that title. Sounds gross.
I don't like that either.
It's interesting. It's kind
of
like a literal
Kingdom?
seed.
It doesn't make
like
sense.
The Earth Kingdom for Last Airbender. Are they going to Ba Sing Se?
No, I will, Janine. I'll tell you later because I don't want to say it on the podcast, but I'll explain why Seed Bearer makes a lot of sense. What I will say is, I don't need more in Animal Kingdom. What I need is a freaking water park that looks like that land.
I'm with you on that.
It's so pretty. and
Or a water park next to Animal Kingdom,
yes,
where you enter from Pandora.
Yes,
They can do it. They can do it. I mean, if the visuals are like what you're saying and they can translate that into a water park, they would make
looking at
stupid
it,
money.
like
Oh,
there's those
boy.
people who make those lagoons.
Oh yeah,
Like
the
a huge
cabanas.
lagoon with like, well, they're like neighborhoods that are like built
Yeah.
around these enormous lagoons and like building little like steps and
Oh,
layers.
you know how?
And, oh God, I can.
You know how
picture
they
it.
do it? You know how they do it? They don't do it as a full water park with a ticket. They do it as attached to the Animal Kingdom Lodge. It's a separate pool
cool.
area that is just all Avatar themed. I think
That
that would
work.
be smart.
Animal
An
Kingdom's
Avatar pool?
the lodge is so specific. It
Yeah.
would
It's
really,
very
Yeah.
specific.
I think it would encroach too much.
It's
onto
very
its
tied
vibe.
into their conservation thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, and
yeah.
the only problem there too is so much of that land is taken up by wildlife, like
Yeah.
for seeing. So I don't know if they have that land over at the lodge. Weirdly, and the lodge is, it's not far, but it doesn't like how other ones feel close. The lodge always feels like they should have like a straight shot to the Animal Kingdom Park from the lodge, but you have to like kind of go around like a road.
Yeah, isn't
and
it
make a
like
turn,
right up
and
the road from like Art of Animation?
it's weird. Yeah, it's weird in that sense. But yeah, no, give me a water park. I'm always for water parks. What can I say? All right, let's keep moving right along. And let's go over to Universal real quick. Oh, well, I should say we're going to Universal because we're going to do our classic segment, the one everyone loves, Beware Our Guest. We have several Beware Our Guests this time. And we're going to start at Universal. Janine, run us through some of these Beware Our Guests. These are some good ones, I think.
Are they good?
I mean, good in a way.
Good. They're so bad. They're good
Yeah.
in that way. Universal. Goodness. Oh God. I always find these stories very soul crushing personally, but a person named Mr. Gill was arrested at Universal Studios recently for, from what I can see based on reporting, potentially using like this is me filling in the blanks here for sure.
Yeah.
Using like his infirm grandmother to smuggle $700 worth of merchandise out of the store.
Sort
And
of.
so
It seems that way, yes.
It seems like that because
She
he
wasn't
gets
charged.
arrested. She doesn't get charged.
Yeah.
So that makes me think that he's just wheeling grandma around who has no idea what's going on and just tucking shit under a Grinch blanket.
Yeah, he's got a Grinch blanket and he's stealing stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just wild.
Yeah.
You couldn't write that shit.
Well, he
Well,
was.
if
He
you
was
did,
doing.
no one would believe you.
It was obviously he was doing his Christmas shopping because it was before Christmas when it happened. So,
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
which is kind of sad. It's
Yeah,
sad. It's
I
like,
don't know. It's $775. That's a lot. That's a lot. It was 41 different items. What?
Yeah, to be
How do
fair,
you
it's
fit
not-
that
he's
many
not-
items?
He's not going to like a Publix and stealing things. Like he has paid admission to this park, so he apparently has some money.
Well, no,
on top of
think
that,
it
the
was in
blanket
City Walk.
wasn't even paid for.
Yeah,
Was
who
it-
knows? If
was it-
was it City
No,
Walk?
it
or-
says no. It was
November 4th. It said at the which store at Universal Orlando Resort, the Universal Studios store. Is that?
Oh,
Oh, that's right
okay.
at the entrance of the
Oh,
studio
City
park, right?
Walk.
Nope. Yep.
Or
City
was
Walk.
it? Yeah,
Mhm.
City Walk.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because if you can't
Still
afford
had
to
to
get
pay
the
for
park,
parking.
you can't afford to buy merch. Yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
right.
Yeah, his last dollar went to parking.
I can't.
Yeah. What a bummer. What a bummer.
Do you want to know the most egregious one that I've ever seen?
Sure.
When I was working at the parks, there was this couple that came in one day and they had gone to almost every single store in DCA and they had stolen 2 Loungefly bags from each store. A Loungefly bag cost like $85. And they literally, we would get calls. They didn't know what they looked like. Each store was calling the other store and they were like, did these people come by and steal 2 bags? And then did these people come by and steal 2 bags? And it literally went on for like hours and they were never caught. They walked out of the parks with like, I want to say like it was about 8 stores and it was 2 bags each of each store. So what is it, like 16 bags?
That's crazy.
Holy
crazy.
shit.
Wow.
And those bags range from like $80 to $100.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So
16 times 80, that's at least $1,300.
so they walked out. No one knew where
And
they
they
were.
probably resold it for double the price. So
How do they
y'all
even? How do they even do that? That's remarkable.
How did they not get caught though? It's like you're carrying 16 Loungefly
There's
bags. I
cameras
don't understand
everywhere.
how you
Yeah.
don't get caught.
You put
So-
you put the bags inside the bags. You steal bags so you can steal stuff and put them in bags. That makes a lot of sense
Ooh.
now. Bags and bags and bags.
That's how I fly
Infinitum.
on airplanes. I stuff my bags in my other bags.
There you go. There you go.
Um,
That's how to do it.
Yeah.
Continue. What else we have?
Yeah. We also have a real fun one, which is really purely devoid of context, but that almost makes it better. A video surfaced on YouTube recently of a
I
physical
can't
fight
watch it now. Dang it.
during Harmonious in mid-December on the World Showcase Promenade. And the video is remarkable. It's just two people. It looks like women to me.
Where's the
maybe?
video?
I can't tell.
They're just wrestling.
Wrestling. Like one person's got like someone in like a headlock with their knees, and like what song is that from? Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like
Yeah.
somewhere, like or out there, I guess is the name of the song. It's just it's a treat. No context, just pure vibes, just two
Just pure vibes.
strangers
Well, and
wrestling by cell phone light to
that's what's just so funny is like
It's
not only is
really-
it during Harmonious, which
yeah.
pun intended, but
Yeah.
it's like it's funny to have like, well, we have the fight on film, but because it's at the end of the night and there's so many people and it's so like Disney has no idea who these people were. Like, who knows how much this kind of stuff happens too that we don't see, where it's like there's these little tussles that get taken care of and they're too fast for anyone to actually do anything in the midst of a crowd. But
This one is wild
yeah.
because like you don't see anyone throw a punch. Like it's literally just someone
mid-fight.
appears to have
they just wrestle.
someone in a restraint,
Yeah.
I guess. And they worked it out amongst themselves apparently.
Apparently.
Our
Oh,
last
conflict
one is pretty
resolution.
unique.
I do like this last one quite a bit.
Yeah, this last one is real interesting. This is something, a rare treat. We have a Tokyo Disneyland Beware Our Guest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember we talking about how they like their rules?
Yeah.
They'll prove it to you.
Yeah, this
over
is
there.
this is true. Reaction time second to none. Some man jumped out into the middle of the parade and started just like waving his hands around. Everybody
Dancing,
look at me,
kind of.
dance at me.
Yeah.
Dance at me, look at me during the Christmas parade, and is immediately tackled
They
to
got
the
his
ground
ass so fast.
in
It's crazy.
a second
So
and a half.
fast.
Like is this guy even secure? Like really security? Like or are random parade concierge people just imbued with the power of tackling?
Yeah, because here they would have been like, sir, sir, sir. And
You
like,
gotta wait.
kind
We
of-
gotta
Yeah.
call security.
Yeah,
Security,
it
come
just-
and
and
restrain
kind of
this. And
push
it would be
them-
like a whole ordeal. And this was just immediately handled.
There's like 3 people on him in less than 10 seconds. Like it's insane.
I wonder if
Oh,
it's like
amazing.
I wonder if the cast member got in trouble because like if you guys remember the Paris situation where the engagement thing where that cast member got in trouble.
Right.
So
I
I
don't
wonder if the
know.
same situation happens here.
Yeah, we
That's a
don't
good
know.
question.
I don't know. I just found another video of them like dragging him out.
Another angle.
Yeah.
It's like
We
the
love
Zapruder
angles.
film. We just love
Yeah.
all our angles of this
Oh
parade.
man,
Many as
he's
you
got
can
an
get.
entourage of like a dozen people. He's hunched over, being dragged out. Remarkable.
Well,
And
thank you,
is the
Janine.
person Japanese? Who
Yeah.
He appears
Yeah.
to be. I
Yeah.
That's surprising.
It looks like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally.
This is not an American. I mean, he
I
might
would-
be an
I would've
American,
thought
but it's
it
not a
would-
white dude running out for a TikTok. He's like he's middle aged.
It's yeah. He has no phone in sight. There's nothing
Yeah.
that suggests this is for the meme or whatever.
It's,
like, this
yeah,
is-
it's not for
interesting.
clout.
no, it's something. Well, thank you, Janine. I appreciate you running us through those. We're going to finish up real quick. You know, every time we say that it's going to be a short episode, we go very long. It's always the case every time. But we are going to finish out with 2 questions to end tonight because, of course, it is 2023 where you're listening, and we want to ask that a couple New Year's questions to the panel. So, first of all, what theme park thing are you most excited about in 2023? Dave, what about you? I bet it's something Tron related.
You'd think
I would think.
if I had not been on the one in Shanghai already, I
Good
would be way more excited than I am. I'm very excited. But I rode. I don't know if I told you the day that I was at Shanghai Disneyland. I rode that like 10 times.
Wow.
My inner 10-year-old was just. Um, I think for me, it's funny. I was gonna say Runaway Railway, but I have been on that in Florida. I just know that there's different stuff here, so
Sure.
I'm wondering what the differences are. That's maybe sort of minor second choice. My first choice is going to be Super Mario World, just because I saw all the videos. It looks the fit and finish of everything looks beautiful. I'm really curious at all the interactives because from what I've heard in Japan, they take a beating from guests, and making interactive stuff that doesn't break all the time is really hard.
Yeah.
So if they've cracked that nut, I'm very excited to see it. But so I would say Super Mario World.
Victoria, what about you?
I'm tied with three actually. Well, no, technically two. Super Nintendo World is definitely one. I was actually texting young Anthony about that because we're going for my birthday. And Wildcats Revenge at Hershey Park.
Okay. Some Hershey
Cool.
Park love. Very good. Very good. Sarah, what about you?
For me, it's Toontown. I'm really excited to see what it'll look
Oh,
like.
yeah, I forgot about
And
Toontown.
yeah, so I'm so excited. I can't wait
Yeah.
for it to open.
Janine, what about you?
It is for sure the theme of the evening, Nintendo. I wasn't that into it. I thought my worry was it wasn't going to be that interactive because of the reasons that Dave listed with like it's just very hard to build things that are truly interactive that can withstand the amount of use that they're going to get. And then also just having enough of it to not just be standing in a queue to bump a block and, have
Yeah.
something. But having seen the trailer, I guess you could say, for it, my son and I watched that and our jaws just hit the floor.
If you want to spoil it, go to TDR Explorer on YouTube because he does a full rundown, and it made my jaw drop how cool it is.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm taking Des there, whether I can afford it or not. It's going on the credit card. Like it's happening. We're doing it.
And we are
I
going
can't wait.
together, and I'm meeting up with you, and we're going together, and we're going to
Yes.
ride on Mario Kart together because I'm a pass holder.
Yay,
Yes.
friendship.
I'm going in June though, so
That's
I'll
fine.
be there in June.
I'll be here.
Okay.
For
here.
me, this is a weird one, but I actually am more excited about like what we're going to find out about Epic Universe than I am about anything coming out next year. I'm excited I'm really biting my nails and waiting for concept art.
Nathan, don't you know a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush?
I know, but there's just something about I love the idea of that park. I love the Universal Monsters area so very much.
Same.
And I'm just really excited to see some more stuff come out. And I think hopefully they will allow some more stuff to come out.
When does it open again?
It doesn't open until-
2025.
Yeah, 25, I believe.
Okay.
But I just really love when a park. I mean, we don't very, 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 very rarely do we get the opportunity to watch a park get built. I mean, here in Florida,
That's
it's
true.
not been since
99.
Is it Islands or is it Animal Kingdom? I'm trying to think which was the
Both.
last.
They both open.
They both about the same time.
Kind of on purpose.
Almost
Yeah.
the same time.
And it's been a while since a big contender really threw their hat in, and so I just really love that process, and I like seeing what happens. And thank you, Bio Reconstruct. You will be flying over there, I'm sure, and giving me lots of photos, and I just love all the analysis that people come up with, all that stuff. So.
Which is the first time we really had a park that had that kind of analysis, because internet was not the way it is now when they were building IOA and Animal Kingdom. This is the first time in the US that it's being covered under such a scrutinous lens,
Yeah. So I'm excited for the dialogue on that. I think that'll be good. Let's go on to our last question of the evening, which is, if Disney has to pick a New Year's resolution, what New Year's resolution would you like to have Disney pick for how they do theme parks or company or whatever you would like them to sort of focus on and improve for them this coming year? I can start, give people some time to think. For me, if Disney was going to pick a New Year's resolution, I would like it to be pay more. That's it. Pay more. Not me pay more, them pay more. Whether that is their cast members, whether that is for design, whether that is for anything, pay more, pay like you used to. And hopefully with Iger about, we might see some of those changes. But I just think that there is and that includes just hiring, right? I don't want to see a trash can full to the brim anymore. I want them to pay what they need to pay to actually maintain what they're doing. So pay more. Treat yourself, Disney, in 2023, and pay a little more. Who else? Anybody else on the docket? Sarah, what about you?
I think Disney's resolution is going to be to work on itself and to just be nicer to everybody. They definitely need to do that, to be nicer to their pass holders and to make them feel a little bit more appreciated and loved. And I think that they're it's going to just be working on themselves, making the parks look a little prettier, making the pass holders feels nice. That's it.
Working on themselves. We like that. We like that. Victoria?
Honestly, if I would have to pick one, it would honestly just be appreciative, mainly specifically towards the cast members, because the shit they deal with on a daily, especially as we've seen in this year, is far beyond what they are getting currently paid.
Yeah.
I just want them to see them being fairly paid and treated with respect. I want them to do more to protect their cast members in the park against guests as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good.
True.
Janine, what about you?
I would just like Disney to remember that it found its success when it was really living true to its values and not numbers in a book somewhere. I feel like they've been too focused on profit and loss numbers and not looking back to what worked for them in the past, which was focusing on the people who make Disney what it is.
Yeah.
They need to get back to the people.
You need a Hallmark Christmas movie for Disney, right? They're the
Yeah.
city girl.
Yeah.
They need to go
Yep.
back and find
the
themselves
small
in the
town.
country.
Yeah.
Find their small town roots. I don't disagree with that. Dave, finish us off. What do you want to see Disney have a New Year's resolution about?
I'm with you, mainly that they just need to pay more. The cast members are vastly underpaid for what they do.
And the benefits are
that's
shit.
And the benefits are not good. So I think the number one thing, because on a corporate level, working for Disney and in the studio and other departments can actually be a really comfortable, career. And it's just not possible in the parks. And that's not, you can't look at those parks as like, McDonald's entry level high school jobs. People
No.
think that, but
There's too many
requires a
people.
lot
There's too many
There's too
people
many
who have
people.
to work for it. You can't churn through
Right.
that. You'll run out of staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just
That
that,
would
it
be-
like takes 2 hours to get there, to get to your shift.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really
Right.
does.
It's
Right.
a hassle. Like, it's a lot.
I mean, that would be the first on my list. But if we want another one, so as not to repeat yours, I would say that the way reservations and the pass holders work needs to be fixed. Like, we all know that it needs to be fixed. I don't know what that fix is, but something closer to the previous passes and max pass is I think better. And like in my mind, it's like, okay, well, if the reservation system sucks, so why don't you do this? Take away reservations, and your pass level decides how many times a month you can go. Right?
Ooh.
You only get 2 weekend days, and you get as many. Remember, the old system was like this. You get as many off days as you want. There were days that were not peak days that were free to come, but there were other ones that required a reservation. I think add on top of that a limit to the number of times you can go a month. And a lot of people are going to bristle at that, but to be honest, when I look at my Max Pass or my Max Pass, my Magic Key now, I only went last year like 9 times, which sounds like a lot, but that barely pays for that pass. And I had to really grit my teeth to renew it, because it's like, am I going to get more than that out of this? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. For Disneyland especially, I think that makes a lot of sense when
in
you only have 2
particular.
parks.
Works.
Yeah.
Works for Disneyland.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, all the best to you and yours in 2023. And Rat Castle is produced by me, yours truly, Nathan Hartman. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And please, if there's one thing, make this your New Year's resolution. Give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. We've got I don't know, not a lot. We've got like 30 maybe. And that's fine. But the problem is that when you have 1 or 2 that really don't like it because maybe our our political views or whatever, they give you 1 stars. Well, that really kind of warps the scene a little bit when there's so few people. So if you can just do this for us, just do it for us. Just go to Apple Podcasts, go to your app, whatever you need to do, and just rate it and review it. That would be wonderful. We would appreciate that. And if you want to know more about what we're up to, you can check us out at ratcastlepodcast.podbean.com. Or if you want to see merch links and all our other links to all the places you can find us streaming, bit.ly/ratcastle is the place to go. Now, grab your belongings, including your 2023 glasses, which I'm sure you have from your party, and exit to the left.
Will you stop this foolishness?
What forces would you like to see?
Will you get out of here?